I'm following the story of Kitty, Bessie and Anne, these three ladies here, who travelled on this great adventure in 1934. And here's what happened. Friday evening they got the train from Blackpool North and went to Preston, then to Wigan, then up to Carlisle, stopping and changing at all these places, and finally arrived at 6 a.m. into Glasgow. And then, you know what they did? They went off to get some breakfast. Love this. Very important in the diary. It says, we went to Loch Achray nearby, got ham, eggs, tomatoes, pineapple, bread and butter, coffee and hot water, not to forget salt and mustard. Brilliant. They knew all the details. But we haven't got time for that. Got a train to catch for the next part of the adventure up to Arrocahar Tarbet. We're delayed at signals. Hey, I'm reminded that all journeys have their little hold-ups. Well, for she and me, it was a hell of a journey. 14 hours from their home in Blackpool overnight, 5 trains to get to the start of their adventure up near Loch Lomond. Think of that next time you're delayed somewhere at the airport. They caught the 10:35 train. This is the 10:35 train. When I look around me, it's probably the same train. And they headed up to Whistlefield. That station no longer exists. Instead, they got off at the next stop, Glen Douglas. That station no longer exists. And they made their way into Arrocahar for a bit of lunch, which was a bar of chocolate. What? That's all you're going to eat? To make your way 5 hours across to Loch Lomond on a hike over the glens? These women were sterling stuff. She and me, I love them. This is Arrocahar and Tarbet. And guess what? We're the only people who got off this train. Yeah, it's a tiny little station on the West Highland line. And this is where our adventure starts, following the trail of she and me. Step-free access off the station platform. And it's step-free access because I carry a Kenny with me. A Kenny who will carry all the bags and the bike down the steps because he's a mighty athlete. And it's his birthday today. He's only 559 years old. It's got to be a challenge. Here comes Kenny up the slope. Will he make it? Whoa! He will! What an athlete! And with his stand down. Amazing! What a triumph! What a nutter! This is Glen Douglas, where she and me got off the train to start their adventure. First thing they did was they walked along that track all the way into Arrocahar to go and get chocolate for lunch. Then they came back and headed over the glen down to Inverbeg to Loch Lomond. You can't go any closer to Glen Douglas here because this is a military camp where they store the nuclear weapons. Shh. We just cycled down the glen with hail coming down. Welcome to Scotland. This is Inverbeg, and in 1934, she and me spent their first night in Scotland here at the youth hostel, and they arrived at 5 p.m. and they write this: we had a wash and brush up, got into evening dress and cooked and ate our dinner. Do you want to know what they had for dinner? Lamb chops, peas, bread and butter, tea cake and apple pie. they'd run out of spuds. I mean, that just sounds like a massive feast to me. It's fantastic. And then that evening, they all got together with the other people staying here and played a card game called Donkey. And one of the girls won 8p, and she donated it to the hostel. Isn't that nice? Next day, they got up and took the ferry over to the other side to climb Ben Lomond. What an adventure! She and me in 1934.
Start again. This is Tarbet Island. Tarbet Island, or it's known as Honeymoon Island. The story goes that the travelling people of this area would bring their newlywed couples out here for the first week of their marriage. If they could survive that first week without one of them swimming ashore, then their marriage would last forever.
I love it. I'll tell you what, Craig, this is a very special thing. Tell me a bit about Loch Lomond.
Over 22 miles long.
Right.
It's only 1 mile wide up here.
Yep.
This is the more mountainous fjord-like end.
Yep.
It stretches out to over 5 miles wide down in the southern end. It's all fresh water. It is the largest expanse of fresh water here in the mainland UK. Surface area of 27 square miles.
Now here's the thing. I'm on board the Lomond Princess on Loch Lomond, and back in 1934 my cousin Kitty with her best friend Bessie and sister Anne, she and me, came on holiday here. They took a crossing across from Inverbeg to Roedennen. As you're part of the adventure, I'm leaving this card with you.
Thanks very much.
So that you'll be part of this great adventure 90 years later.
Right, okay, great. Somebody will be talking about us.
Exactly. No, come on, follow our journey, won't they? Doesn't it look gorgeous? What a fabulous boat. Bit small. What about this? Yeah, that's more like it. The Lomond Princess. Thank you to Craig and John and Declan for getting us across. They weren't actually going to go today because they said it's a bit windy and wet and stormy and stuff. But then they relented and said, come on over and have a look at the little waterfall. A week ago, that was a trickle. Then they had a tiny bit of rain. Now look at it! I'm on a lovely adventure, following in the footsteps of my cousin Kitty and her friends, best friend Bessie and sister Anne. And in 1934, they set off on a great adventure into the Trossachs and Loch Lomond. That's where I am right now. On day 2, they'd climbed Ben Lomond, one of the tallest mountains in the region, and stayed overnight at a hostel in Ledyard. They'd had so much fun. Here's their diary of all their adventures. What happened next is they climbed this, Benvenue. Oh, we loved it, they said. It was a steep climb, and at the top of Benvenue we had wonderful views of Loch Achray, Loch Achray, Loch Achray, Loch Venacha, and Loch Dubry, not to mention all those knobs. What a lovely description for mountains. And after we'd thought about this for a while, we descended a little way, had a tin of fruit. Remember, they're carrying a tin opener as part of their adventure, and 3 halfpenny bars of chocolate, which is all they could get at the little local shop. Then they had a scramble down, and on the way down into the bog fell Anne and got rather muddy. And they stopped at the little hotel opposite here, the Loch Achray Hotel. And they make an interesting little comment, which I really rather like. They said, we saw a maid washing a nylon blouse. Now, why would you comment on nylon? That's because it was brand new. This is in the days before Gore-Tex and Lycra and acrylic waterproof clothing. Remember, they're tramping all over Scotland in woolen socks and getting dirty and muddy and having to wash their stuff out every night and hoping it will dry in a day or two. I think it's an amazing story of great fortitude and courage. They call their diary She and Me, and I'm following in their footsteps now. Except I'm not going to go up Benvenue on my bike. That would be a step too far. I'm in Brig O Turk by the ancient tea room, celebrating its 100th birthday this year. Kay! Wow! You've been brilliant here all that time.
Wearing it well.
Now, my cousin Kitty came through here in 1934 with her best friends. There's Bessie and Anne, and they would have refreshed themselves here. What do you suppose they would have eaten and drunk?
I imagine that it would be good Scottish stew, probably scones, maybe some stovies.
Stovies, what's that?
So they're generally like a mincemeat, onions, any leftovers with potato,
Stuff.
fried up. Scottish stuff.
Scottish stuff, fantastic. And then off they went, walking up the mountain like that. I think it's brilliant. So I love the fact that this tea room's been here all that time, and 90 years ago, there's my cousin Kitty coming here and visiting. It's lovely.
I love that. It just puts all the pieces together, especially this year celebrating the birthday. So thank you very much for coming
Congratulations,
along.
you're having a big birthday party for it.
If I can fit it in.
Fantastic. So come to the tea room at Brig O Turk and enjoy a nice bit of stovies. I've stopped by the side of the road. There's an old metal gate. And alongside it is a tin shed and a very ordinary looking tree. Or is it? There's something here. Look, piece of metal. What's that? Handlebars? Yes, this is the bicycle tree. Once upon a time, many moons ago, when I was young and you were even younger, there was a young man who went off to war, and as he left, he parked his bike by the side of the tree and said, "I'll be back for that one day." And the tree grew and grew and grew and grew all around the handlebars and the fork of the bike. And that's the bicycle tree in Brig O Turk. I'm in a field of goats, and they're very happy goats, Nicola.
Thank you, yes.
Aren't they?
Yeah.
This is your farm.
Uh-huh.
Now, around here there used to be a youth hostel, and I know this from this diary from 1934. Any idea where it might be?
Well, you're kind of stood on the location, the exact location,
Right.
which looks out over Benvenue, which
Yes.
is the beautiful hill over there.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, so this is the flat area where the youth hostel once stood, and this is the old sundial, which is about the only
bit that's remaining. And
only
look, the
remnant.
goats are eating it. I've got this photo here of Kitty, Bessie and Anne with some chaps they'd met. I actually know their names because it was written on the back of the photo. So there's Don and Cliff and Bill and Tom and John outside the youth hostel. And there's a lovely bit here about how much fun they had when they stayed at this youth hostel. They said, "It's rather a wonderful spirit, this greeting of ships that pass in the night." A nice phrase.
yeah.
Everybody hails everybody, no ceremony, a great comradeship. I think that's what I really like about this story, Nicola, is that these three women are off on this big adventure. They don't pre-book anything. You know, when we go places now, you always say, "I must know where I'm going to go." Well, they didn't. They just said, "We're heading in a general direction. Let's see what happens along the way." And then each evening, they would play games. They'd play card games or have sing-songs. And there's a little bit in here that said, "We've got an early start tomorrow, so headed to bed early. P.S. Haven't retired yet because we had a game of rugby and we had a game with a ball, which was a pair of socks." They ran around the garden here playing rugby. I imagine the goats would have joined in, wouldn't they?
Oh God, for sure, yeah. If not, they'd probably have eaten the socks, obviously. But
It's a wonderful thing to think that here all this fun and enjoyment happened, and how nice it is that it's part of your lovely farm.
yes. Well, we're very lucky to be here, and it's still enjoyed by lots of people because it's on a cycle route, and we get lots of visitors who come to buy the goat's milk ice cream in summer. So
Come to be eaten by the goats as well.
yes, they're quite popular. Yeah. But yeah, it's a beautiful place.
Thank you.